Welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends. This is the Red All Over Show, the away end. And for this one, it's an away end for the Port Vale game on Boxing Day. Now, what I was going to say is that we played on Saturday, but we're recording this on Wednesday evenings. We're actually recording it before the Stevenage match for us and Port Vale's match at Wickham. So I can't make out that it's Christmas Eve and that we're recording this because, otherwise I'd have said that miracles happen. Things like against Stevenage yesterday, because it's Christmas Eve, yesterday, Barnsley won 7-0, whereas Port Vale against Wickham lost 7-0. But that's too far-fetched. That could never happen, could it? It could never be that Barnsley wins 7-0 and Port Vale lose 7-0. That's just pure fantasy. I appreciate that. So I'm not going to say that because we're recording on Wednesday evening. I have got the lovely Kirsty from the Port Vale podcast with the best name in the world, Ale and the Vale. Welcome, Kirsty. Tell us about yourself and the podcast.
Thank you very much. Yes, a lot of people like the name. If it was down to me, to be Tia Maria and Vale, but obviously it doesn't have the same ring as Ale and Vale. So thanks for inviting us on. I'm Kirsty, massive Port Vale supporter. Been following the Vale since I've been, 3 or 4, to be perfectly honest. The glory years of the 90s. Things have never quite been as good as then, but once you're hooked, you're hooked. And now part of the Ale and Vale team. There's three lads started it during COVID to sort of stay in touch. One of them was over in Canada, and then the other two were sort of Stoke, Staffordshire way. And then as time's gone on, there's been a few others of us that have joined them, and it's on a bit of a rotation system, and we just sort of spend a lot of time whingy really about following the Vale. But we have had some highs. 18 months ago, we went up and we did a podcast after the Wembley game. After the game at Wembley when we beat Mansfield. And we went up, and that was definitely not moaning. It felt like it was a pinch yourself moment, and all of us were on that one, and we just had like the best time ever, just kind of chatting about how much we love being Port Vale supporters.
I'd have thought you see, with a name like Port Vale, I'd have thought particularly at Christmas you'd have had Port and the Vale or something like that, but Tia Maria, maybe we'll just start calling it Tia Maria and the Vale for today.
I'm happy with that. I'm not sure what the others will think when they hear that's what we've changed it to.
Well, you had to bring up a Wembley playoff win, didn't you? Because we lost at the Wembley playoff last year by our nearest. I want to say our nearest and dearest. They're definitely not the nearest, but they're not the dearest. We lost to Sheffield Wednesday, and it still hurts. It's not right. It's not right.
I was going to say, I can't imagine being on the other side of it, because it was definitely up there. I remember on the Ale and Vale podcast, it must have been about 2 months before when things had dipped a little bit in form. And I remember asking the question to some of the other lads, would you prefer, as at the time we were looking to go up automatically, would you prefer to go up automatically or ride it out and go up via the playoffs and Wembley? And everyone on there other than me said they just wanted to go up automatically. They couldn't take the playoffs. Whereas for me, I absolutely wanted the route that we took. But then, commiserations, because I can't imagine getting myself into London, over to Wembley, and then being on the other side of that.
Well, just imagine if you'd lost to Stoke in a playoff final, because that's how it would have been for us. That's how it was for us. But in fairness, we were a bit down in the doldrums because of that, because we'd hoped for Championship football. But, we started to pull ourselves around for the start of the new season. And we started well, I can't remember who it was, but we absolutely hammered somebody 7-0. I remember who that was. So that cheered us up now, and it's gone downhill a bit since then, but that cheered us up now. And I don't know what you thought about that match, but I'll tell you what I thought. Before I'll tell you what I thought. I thought for the first 25 minutes, oh, hell's bells, here we go again, because you pasted us for the first 20 odd minutes. And then somehow we managed to get in front, and then the second half, it just rained goals, and I don't know, you collapsed. Every attack we scored. And if I said it didn't reflect the whole match, it most definitely didn't, because I said for the first 25 minutes, you were outstanding. Can't believe you can say that somebody were outstanding when they lost 7-0. But from that match, I thought, once they sort out the defence and get over the shock of everything going in, they'll sort it out for this season, because you really set about us. So,
Well, I think
it weren't all doom and gloom.
you're being too kind for a 7-0 defeat. What I'll start by saying
Never
is
been called that before, Kirsty. Never been called that before.
I'll start by saying,
port. Must be the
um,
Tiamarina and the port.
yeah, I wasn't there. I was on my maternity leave at that point, and I wasn't at that game, but I did listen to it and I read a lot around it afterwards, because I don't know if you were aware or other Barnsley fans were aware at the time, but our assistant coach had just been put in charge. That was his first game as sort of official manager. So I guess all eyes were on him. Some people were not sure whether we'd made the right move going with, it almost feels like the easy option, doesn't it, the assistant coach. And so eyes were on him. How was he going to set up? We knew he was a good coach. What was his game management going to be like? So to come away having lost 7-0 in the opening game of the season, it at the time seemed absolutely devastating. But what I would say is, to think sort of 6 games later, people were actually saying it's the best thing that could have happened for us, because we then really turned things around and we were going on a great run, and we were sort of in the dizzy heights of, certainly, I don't know if we went as high as like 9th or 10th. I know it was still early doors, but everybody was saying that was the best kick that we could have had at the start of the season. And then things kind of changed again for us, and we went the best part of 2 months without a league win. So it's been so far a season of 2 halves.
Oh dear. I do remember, because I do remember you going on a great run. After that match, you went on the most incredible run, and were pushing up the table, and everybody in Barnsley were thinking, flipping heck, how did we beat them 7-0? And I thought, wait, for first 25 minutes or whatever, we didn't. We didn't. We were lucky to be 0-0, but tell us about your formation, Kirsty. What formation do you play? I know what you played at Oakwell. What do you play now? Do you know?
Yeah, so it's an interesting setup, and I think it's been a little bit controversial with some Vale fans, because one of the criticisms for the manager more recently has been that we've got this kind of set formation, and we're not quick to deviate from that during the game or leading up to the next game. There's a little bit of there's questions around whether that's the manager's decision, whether it's the director of football's decision, and how we're sort of setting up like around that. What we tend to do is play 3 at the back. And then we either set up 3-5-2, or the last few games it's been a little bit more 3-4-2-1. So but the interesting part around that, and the definitely the sticky point of the season, and the elephant in the room is within that, and how we set up. Very often we don't start with a name striker. So whilst we have bought in a couple of strikers before the end of the transfer window, we've still been playing with an attacking midfielder, sometimes centrally up front on his own. So that's been the biggest criticism from Vale fans so far of this season, really.
I was looking at the league record. You've not scored many goals in the league at all, have you?
No, and it's not surprising, because we've bought in Uche Ikpeazu, we bought in Ryan Loft, and they have both been under criticism. They've not had loads of game time, but I'm not overly surprised, because when they've come on, they've not been looking like they're gonna score. Ben Garrity's been playing on his own up front, and previously he is a kind of named attacking midfielder, so playing up front on his own. He scored 9 goals and he looks the most likely to score. So in a way, some might say, well, who cares if he's scoring goals? But from Vale fans' perspectives, when you're looking okay at the back and then you're not scoring, the most you're ever going to get is a point. So all you want is a goal scorer, and that's all we've been crying out for all season. But Ben Garrity, credit to him, he's been doing that job well, and I think to have scored 9 goals at this point in the season, you'd be happy with that. I think if you were the named goal scorer, well, he's been often the only person up front, the only player up front as an attacking midfielder traditionally.
You keep it the same on Boxing Day then, because that'll suit us. No, not having any strikers against us. That would certainly help our defence. What about Ethan Chislett? Is a name that I've heard. I've heard a fair bit. He was man of the match against Middlesbrough last night, wasn't he?
Yeah,
when you lost 3-0, just mentioned that.
Yeah, we made history last night. We got
quarterfinals.
Yeah, furthest we've ever got. It was a bit of a damp squid, though, if I'm honest. On the back of the league game at the weekend against Wigan, where we won 3-2, and we played well. It was our best game of the season. We then thought we were on the up. We were coming into the Middlesbrough game. We thought there's a chance that we'd really give them a game. In all honesty, they were just a lot better than us, and it really made me and other fans think there's a big difference between our league and the league above.
Absolutely.
But Ethan Chislett, he won man of the match last night. He's come in, he's bright, he's quick. I remember seeing him pre-season, and of all the players that we'd signed pre-season, he was the one that stood out for me. When it's pre-season, you see someone who almost you feel like they're going to get you off your seat. Well, that was how I felt a bit with him. He's always making those runs into the box. You can see him. He's always looking to push and press forward. So yeah, definitely a bright spark of the signings that we've made pre-season.
Yeah, and I've seen in past matches. I've seen is it Funso Ojo anyway. Ojo. I think he's caused Barnsley problems in the past. Unless I'm confusing with somebody else. I think he's a player that really caused us some bother with his runs and what have you.
He plays himself down, Ojo does. I know when he first signed for us, he said that his job was always to trap the ball and then play it out and let someone else play the football. He almost made out and sold himself as though he wasn't, a fancy footballer. But I quite like that because he undersold himself and he's definitely over-delivered, if that's the right way of putting it. Our captain, Smithy, has been dropped the last 2 games, which is a bit surprising because he's our most he's got the most games for Vale of any of our players at the moment. So it's a bit surprising that he's been dropped, but Ojo's picked up the armband in his absence. He's a strong player, Ojo is. Yeah. He's a strong player. He can talk well, he can organise other people around him. And he's a better footballer than he gives himself credit for.
And one thing I do notice from the past that you've signed Connor Ripley as well, haven't you? Our goalkeeper is on loan from Middlesbrough, and I know you signed Connor Ripley. Always rated Connor Ripley as a goalkeeper. There were times when I wish we'd signed him because he looked really good. I think it was last season, really, really good. So I think he's an excellent goalkeeper. I don't know how he's performing for you. Hopefully, not so well.
Well, do you know
what? 7 in against Barnsley. I appreciate he let 7. He'll have got backache. But since then, did I mention that we won 7-0 first match of the season? I don't know if I mentioned it. I'll check back when I do this and see if I mentioned it. But yeah, he's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, it only took you less than a minute to make reference to the 7-0 victory on Barnsley's part only game of the season. But from what I saw, I don't think Ripley was really. It sounds daft. We've lost 7-0. I don't think the keeper was at fault for that. It didn't really look like that, and I know other supporters who were there on the day sort of felt the same. Look, we've had a lot of issues with goalkeepers over the last few years. We've had, it's one position, you want consistency, don't you? You want one keeper and you want to know that that's your number one and you're sticking with them throughout the season. The only time that a drop is through injury. Well, we haven't had that. We've had keepers in and out. Even our promotion season, I'd say goalkeeper was our most was one area that they were in and out. And I just think if their confidence will drop with that, it's not been good. So when we signed Connor Ripley, our director of football was talking all pre-season about the need for a striker and a keeper. And undoubtedly, our recruitment team have done really, really well pulling in Connor Ripley to Port Vale. And in that position, he's done well. His record at saving penalties is great, and he saved a few for us this season already. He commands his area well. You feel as though you can trust him, and you can see that with the defence as well. I think in previous seasons they've been a bit shaky at times, and when your defence has a lot more confidence because they trust their keeper. We've definitely seen that this season. And on the Ailen Vale podcast last week, there was talk about I can't remember where the stats had come from now, but it was some site that was looking at consistency, and some of the lads who were on the podcast were guessing who was the most consistent player according to these stats, and it was actually Ripley that came out top in that for the Vale, which didn't surprise me. He's had a great, really strong start to the season.
Your form recently has been a bit strange, isn't it? All in all, from what I've seen in the league, you've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 3, which is sort of even, slightly against the law, but at home. And I bear this in mind. This is before the Wickham game on Saturday, because we're recording this on the Wednesday night, so we really are in front of ourselves. So it's before the Wickham game. Out of the last 6 home matches, you've won 1 and lost 5, which is so apart from the last Saturday when you beat Wigan, who are no mugs. They're a good. I think they're a good side, Wigan, and they'll cause teams a lot of problems this season. So that's a good win. 3 goals against them's a good win. But that apart, you've lost the previous 5 at home. I don't understand it at all, because I thought you'd do really, really well at home.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the Wigan game, because what's happened previously is when we've gone behind, we've struggled then to come back, partly because we can't score, but partly because arguably our heads goes down. The Wigan game was something else. We pushed, we pressed, we were 2-0 up, and then they came back, scored 2. And it was, if ever there was a time where I thought this is a repeat of what we've seen, there's a chance we're going to go on and not win this. We're not going to draw it. We're going to lose it. And then we came back and scored. We did, Vale fans are crying out for more of that, more of us sort of pushing forward. And what we definitely had in that game was supporters on our side, because we saw what we were seeing was exciting football, and it really lifted the home crowd. And I just wonder if in previous games, although we've not been playing too badly, it's not been as exciting as what I think fans have wanted. And sometimes I think that can have a bit of an impact on the atmosphere. And away from home, it's different. You're all kind of clubbed together, and you're still sort of getting behind. You've travelled, you might have had a few drinks beforehand, and you're all there kind of in unison. And I don't know if that sometimes makes a bit of a difference.
Maybe
but
it does. Go on.
Yeah, we're on a bit of I like to think with our form now, with the last 2 games in the league, we've won, and I'd like to think that's a bit of a stepping stone now to get us back on track and put together a bit of a run.
Well, we've been a bit topsy turvy, really, because our home form has not been the best, but our away form's been better. Until the last few weeks, it's been a lot better. if it gives you any hope, about a week and a half ago, we won 3-1 away to Reading. They took the lead. We equalised in the first half and then scored 2 goals to win 3-1 in the end. It's the first time we've come from behind since the start of last season. Last season, we didn't come from behind at all. And it's the first time, I can't remember how many matches, but it's certainly over a season ago, season and a half ago, that we've come from behind. So if you get an early goal, then either we make a record by doing it twice, or we revert to type, and the spoils are all yours. It's a very strange thing, isn't it? We're both better away from home, and neither of us are as good as we were at home. So it's going to be
Yeah,
interesting to
but an
watch.
early goal for the Vale is it's unlikely. But we'll see. We'll have to see how it goes. We could mix everything up and it could take us both by surprise. We'll have to see.
You sound like a Barnsley fan. I tell you that. Oh, well, it's unlikely that we'll score. Oh no, 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 no. Are you sure? Are you sure you're not a Tykes fan? And you're just putting a Port Vale hat on just to fool me? Are you sure you're not somebody that we know that's just, that's just randomly putting a hat on and talking like this, Adam? Right.
I think you can tell by my accent, as I could tell by yours.
I've no idea what you're talking about. I'm actually surprised that you know what I'm talking about or understand a word that we're saying. But you know, you've mentioned some players. Is there any other players that you think we should particularly keep an eye out as Barnsley fans and watch for? But like you said, get people off your feet, get them off the feet if you like, or get your fans up, up and on the feet if you like. Did you say that was Chislett, weren't it? Is that right?
Yeah, we mentioned Chizzy, didn't we,
Yeah,
earlier? I was going to mention Connor Ripley, but obviously
yeah.
we've spoken about him. Garrity's definitely one to watch. He scored 9 goals for us. He's a real workhorse. The other that I would have mentioned, except last night he went off injured, and it doesn't look as though he'll be back. It's for the Barnsley game is Ardslaey, who we've got
Oh
on
yeah,
loan at the minute.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, our loan signings this season have been something to really shout about, and Ardslaey's one of those. You feel like he's one to watch. He will go far
He's a
in the
central midfield
future.
player. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, he's tricky. He's quick. Him and Alfie Devine, who I know we were speaking about before we started
Yeah.
recording, are two of the players that have come in from on loan and have made a huge difference to our midfield.
Well, before I ask you about what you think about the game coming up itself, let's mention this on behalf of Alan Smith from the Red All Over Show. He tells me that all the way from New York, all the way from the Big Apple, Stephen and Cheryl Day. Stephen's a mad Barnsley fan. He's coming all the way to watch Barnsley play away to Port Vale because Alfie Devine is his nephew, their nephew. He's a Barnsley fan and Alfie's his nephew. It's too bizarre for me. Too bizarre for me. But hope you have a safe journey, Stephen. And I hope Alfie scores a last minute goal to cheer you up, because he's your nephew. But I hope it's 7-1 this time instead of 7-0. I don't know if I've mentioned that. But there you go. Apart from you think it's going to be 7-1, Kirsty, what's your thoughts and thoughts for the game coming up on Boxing Day?
So I'm not sure it'll be 7-1.
It won't be. It
I
won't be.
can't see Vale scoring 7. I really can't.
No, no. Well, it's not
Um,
Christmas, is it? We'll not score 7 because it's not. Oh, it is Christmas. Who knows? Who knows? Silly things happen at Christmas. It could be 8-7 to Barnsley, 8-7 to you. Anyway,
well, I always struggle predicting against the Vale. I just can't do it.
yeah, it
Um,
should do.
but I also struggle being realistic, thinking, before every game, I wonder where the goals are coming from. So I do wonder. It's not what we want for Boxing Day, but I do wonder if it's going to end 0-0. That's my prediction. What about you? What are your
That'll be a
thoughts?
thriller, won't it?
It will.
0-0. A no
I'm
scoreboard
full of
draw. Flipping egg.
positivity.
Flipping egg. Full of Christmas turkey. I think it's going. I think we're going to absolutely hammer you again. I think we're going to win 2-1. It's
Oh God.
just 2-1. I've absolutely no idea. It depends how both teams play on the day, doesn't it, and all that. Let me ask you this. Because I asked this to everybody on the away day. We've got a thing in the Red All Over Show. I could have brought him to show you. He's a little teddy bear called Tumble Down Ted. And whenever he gets anywhere near a penalty area, he falls down and claims a penalty. He's a teddy bear. He's not real. I just want to make that clear. He's not real. Let me ask you this. Just imagine this. It's in added time. It's 1-1. You've got a penalty. Connor Ripley comes up for the penalty because it's the 28th minute of added time. There's seconds left, 10 seconds left. You put the corner in. Which of your players is going to go down like he's been shot by a sniper in the crowd and claim a penalty? Who's going to do it? Who's going to go down?
Oh, I feel harsh saying it, choosing anyone, but if I had to say, if I was pushed in a corner, I'd probably say Chizzy.
Right.
Just
I'll watch.
no,
If you get a corner, if it's the 28th minute of added time, I'll be fast asleep. But I'll watch for him.
yeah, you look
You've
out
heard
for
it
him.
here. Ethan Chislett, Barnsley fans. Ethan Chislett. I will tell you this, Kirsty. Last month, I know we got kicked out, but last month we played our friends from Horsham in the FA Cup, in the first round of the FA Cup. And we had on the away end, we had Mark Wells, who we got to know really, really well, who's their club historian and programme creator, and their manager, Dominic de Paola. And they were wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I asked Dominic, who's the Horsham manager, the exact same thing. What will happen? Who will go down? Corner comes over, who's going to go down? And his answer was, I hope all of them. So they actually got a corner in added time. And I thought, I'm watching for this. I thought, I'm going to film this because I expected 10 players all to go down claiming a penalty. It didn't happen in the end, but they got through despite us winning because we got kicked out. But all of them, it'd have
Has
been
it ever
desperate if they
happened?
hadn't. Pardon?
When you've asked people from the away support, has it ever happened what they've predicted?
No, no. What does surprise me is that sometimes you have to say, "Oh, it could be him," or "No, it could be him as well," or "him," and they usually give 1, 2, 4 or 5 names, saying, "Oh, it could be them." Yeah, they could go down easily. Yeah, yeah. I always have to think, just outside the penalty area, who's going to go down? Just that's a big centre forward that you can't knock down. If you took a cricket bat to him, he'll go down as though he's been shot right at the edge of the box to get a free kick. We've all got them. We've all got players like that. So, and people are very honest and what have you. So, forgetting the match on Monday, on Boxing Day, when Barnsley wins 7-1 because it's Christmas, what are your thoughts and hopes for the season, Kirsty, for you?
Well, do you know what? Last night's loss against Middlesbrough in the quarter-final of the League Cup has put a different spin on things for this season. I think up till that point, we were still in that. We'd had a bit of an up and down season. We were on a bit in the league. Things were not going so well, but then we were on the back of 2 wins. I think what we're really trying to do, games are coming thick and fast in December. They always are, but we've had a couple of cup games too. And then a replay against Stevenage and a cup game. So there's loads of games in December. And I think our aim is just to get to January. And a lot will depend on what happens in January for us. We are desperate for a striker. There's there's no two ways about this. Whatever happens, we need to bring in a goal scorer in January. And I think if we can bring someone in who can score goals, not just cause problems, but actually score goals, it can make a difference. I'd like to think we'd be finishing sort of.
Try and be positive, Kirsty. It's Christmas.
I know
we'll avoid relegation. Try and be positive.
No,
we might
I'd
finish
like to think
no.
mid-table. Mid-table, I'd like to think we'd finish, but without that, I worry we'll be dropping, and it could be edging into a relegation battle. But hopefully not.
Crikey, Kirsty, you're not an old sod like me. You're young. You're supposed to be. We're going to be up and at 'em. We're going to be vying for the playoffs. We might make it. We might just fail. But it'll be a great season. That, well, mid-season, mid-table, maybe mid-table. Might face relegation, might battle that. I don't know. 0-0 score, draw on Boxing. You've cheered me up no end, Kirsty. Absolutely. Well, no end at all. No.
Well, do you know what? Being a Vale fan, you've been there all those years. Even 10 years ago, I used to be positive and up for all sorts at the Vale, thinking we could go on and get an championship ready. But it's the hope. The hope kills you.
Yeah.
Now it really does.
You see, I can understand, but such as me and you predicting, 0-0, 2-1 or whatever, and it's just 2-1. It could be if you play like the first 20 minutes or 25 minutes or not. What I can't get, we run for the Red All Over show, we run a prediction league, and people predict for every match, and we keep a prediction table, both competitions throughout, every 12 or 15 games, and then a season one. And I can understand us, and no people saying, "Oh, we might win 2-1, or it might be 2-all, or we'll lose 2-0." But young kids come on and say, "Oh, we might scrape a 2-1 win." When I were young, it was like I've been said, "Oh, we're going to thrash them 7-0. It's 10-0. We're going up as champions, 10-0 every match." What's happened to the youth of today and the young kids? My grandson Noah, he always says, "Oh, it'll be 2-0 to us on a good day, but put me down for 1-all, Grandad." I think, you're 10-year-old. What's up with? We're going to do them 10-0. What? The youth of today. I despair, Kirsty. I despair. And I have to say, you've cheered me up no end by going for a no-score draw on Boxing Day. Flipping Boxing Day. Flipping
Well,
ho,
do you
ho,
know
ho.
what? Do you know, I was like that as a kid in the 90s. That there was never a better time to support the Vale than in the 90s. So when I was like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you had Vale the only time in the history above Stoke. We were knocking Everton, who were the FA Cup holders, out of the cup. And then the next year we were drawing Arsenal away, bringing them back to the Vale. It was like the best decade as a Vale fan that you could imagine. So being a kid, being brought up on it in those years, it was great at the time, but what it does for you later in life is it gets your expectations in a different place. We'll never ever be that good again. So I just spend the rest of my life thinking we'll never be that good. So that's where the problem is.
Yes, you're getting old before your time, love. It's not right. It's not right. You should have that middle ground. When me and Alan Smith in our late 60s, well, I'm 60, we're both 69, but he's 70 before me. Next year, he's 3 months older than me, Alan, that you've met. It's a big 3 months, I'll tell you that much. But,
What do you reckon for your season then? What are your thoughts?
well, I said before the season started, but that's before we sold James Norwood, who I thought were possibly our best striker, our strongest striker, and so the whole of flipping defense. Well, the defense all went. I thought we might finish fifth or perhaps sixth, but we reassessed it because we sold the whole defence. We got some money in, but we sold the whole defence. The chairman has said very clearly, I've said very clearly that we need a centre half. We've got some young players that can come in at centre half, that will be good players. I do believe there will be good players, such as Jack Shepherd and whatever. He'll be a good centre half for us, but he's young, so they're not playing very much. They play occasionally. We've been playing our captain and right wing back, Jordan Williams, at centre back, and I rate him as a right wing back. He's quick. He's quick over the first 5 yards. He's quick on a long run, but he's not a centre half. He's not tall. He's not physically strong. So down that right hand side, across from your right to your left side, is dangerous for us. And it's not because he's rubbish. It's because he's been played in a position that's not strong enough. So we do need, if we're not going to play the centre halves we've got, and we're going to keep playing him there, we do need, as the chairman has said, we do need a centre half. And he said that for us, you need a striker in January. We've said what we need to do is not lose any players like Devante Cole, who's been scoring goals for us. But getting a strong, physically strong centre half that's ready League One and hopefully, hopefully above, because we had them, but we sold them. We had Liam Kitchener, we sold for various reports 4 million, 5 million to Coventry. Mads Anderson, who were our captain, sold for 3.5 million and playing in the Premiership now with Luton. So we got, for us, decent money for them, but our quality defence were all sold, and we replaced them with people who weren't quite ready, but will be. I'm not got anything against the players, because I think they're going to be good players for us, but they're inexperienced at the minute. So a centre half, and that will help. So it might help you score goals. Don't know. I'll certainly watch for Chizzy. I'll tell you that much. I'm going to watch for him, because if it's added time and he goes down, I'll say, flipping Kirsty. She's wished that on us. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, I don't know when the last time you were at the Vale.
It's a long time. It's been a long time.
But you'll be in a different stand this time. So the end of it was last season, the decision was made, and there was a bit of fuss kicked up at the Vale by some people who were in the bycars, and they didn't want to leave there. But now that's for the away supporters. So the behind the goal, we've swapped sides. So unfortunately, facilities aren't as good in the bycars for away supporters now, and parking is a bit further away than where it might have been before. But the idea being really that the Vale fans are getting the better facilities, but I think as well from a safety perspective, all the Vale fans are now, 3 sides are all together, parking's all together, and then away fans are segregated. So there used to be a time where they'd the game would end, and if it was pretty full, people would be let go at different times, whereas now I think away fans can go their way, Vale fans can go their way.
That sounds much safer. That sounds. I'll tell Alan Smith, because with his duff leg, he'll enjoy walking a bit further.
Yeah, remember that when you're doing the walk. It sounds much safer.
I'm sure he'll be chuffed.
Yeah.
Kirsty, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you. I know when we've recorded. I hope you have a prosperous Christmas, a New Year, and I hope you thrash the hell out of Wickham. Watch for them going down. Watch for their tackles of them going down, clutching the leg like. And watch for the Wickham goalkeeper. I don't know if you've seen it. If you get a chance to see it, watch the goal that we scored. We beat Wickham 1-0 at home with a goal that their goalkeeper had wasted time for most of the match, and he went down. I think it was probably a foul on him, but he went down with a comedy tumble like he was Charlie Caroli, the famous Blackpool clown. And the referee clearly thought, "Oh, I've had enough of his antics," and let play go on, and we put the ball into an empty net as he went down. He got touched by our striker, Cosgrove, and he went down. It was so funny. It was a dour game, 0-0, dour game. We're thinking, coming away, 0-0 score draw, Boa score draw, no score draw. And he did that, came away, we're laughing about it days later. It was voted November's goal of the month because it was hilarious. Just watch it and you'll see.
I'll go back and look at that.
So get ready for their goalkeeper. I think it's strike check or something like that. Watch him waste. If they score, watch him waste time. He was an absolute star. Funnily enough, the Wickham fans gave him so much hammer on social media, even though it was a foul. But it touched him, but he went down such a comedy tumble. So yeah, watch for that. It's worth watching, and then watch him on Saturday.
I will. I'll look back. Thanks for inviting me. Other than Boxing Day, good luck for the rest of the season. It'd be nice if we could put a few past you to make up for that opening game.
Wake up, Kirsty. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I've already made my prediction. I know it isn't.
Oh, you'll do well to get a 0-0 draw. I'm only kidding. I've absolutely no idea. It's not going to be 10-0. Kirsty, thank you, and have a good Christmas. Take care.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Bye.